Welcome to the Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Golseth.
And I'm Ann Gonzalez.
Sitting in for Andy Bates. If you're confused and you've heard Andy yesterday, that's because most of this week has been pre-recorded because Andy is currently in Las Vegas. Rough life. I know,
life.
like the biggest trade show ever for all things broadcasting. It's pretty overwhelmingly awesome. So that's where Andy is right now. But we have some fantastic guests in studio today who are in the building. So that's why we're live today. And I'm really excited about it because it's missionary story.
Missionary stories are always the best.
It's the best thing ever. So I'm really excited. And thanks for stepping in since I asked you to co-host like 5 minutes ago.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
And you're my guest for the second half anyway.
Exactly.
So it all works out. And you have your own experience serving overseas. So hopefully you can
also in Asia.
Bring a little different perspective than I have.
Sure.
True Midwesterner. Thanks to our underwriter, Concordia University, Wisconsin, for your support of the Coffee Hour. Find out more about them at cuw.edu. Live Uncommon. Joining us in studio today, Dr. Martin and Marie Dickey, who serve the Lord in Papua New Guinea, which is really exciting. Thanks for joining us today.
Good to be here. Thank you.
There's so many things I want to talk about, and we have 12 minutes, so we're going to get right to it. I'm curious about your story that led up to Papua New Guinea. How did you end up serving in that part of the world?
Well, I was born over there, and so spent the first 16 years of my life there. Our family came back in 1974. My parents had been there for 20 years. Mm-hmm. My Uncle Bill and his wife, my Aunt Eleanor, who just passed away a few months ago, served there for 40 years. And so our family has quite a bit invested in the field. And but I came over back in 74, ended up becoming a church musician, and but hadn't been back for 40 years. Mm. So in 2014... and Marie had heard all kinds of stories about Papua New Guinea, and my daughter Caroline too, and of course all our other kids. But took Marie and Caroline back in 2014, and of course I knew the struggles the church had had, and then after visiting, I was like, well, I guess I should. So since I'm a full-time church worker, I should consider going back and seeing what I can do to help the church.
Absolutely. So your family has a long legacy of church work in Papua New Guinea. Yeah,
actually, we have lots of missionaries in our. I mean, in fact, on my dad's side, my grandfather, on my dad's side, he had one of his uncles was trained by William Loy in Noy and Dedelsau. Wow. At the mission school, and came over to the U.S. Mm-hmm. as a missionary. Established Reverend Peter Dickey established lots of congregations in Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, and then on my grandmother's side, my dad's mom, also there was her grandfather was also trained by William Loy. He came over and served as a missionary in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So we have that connection. And then my grandfather actually was a missionary, L. Smith's missionary in Brazil.
So that's quite the missionary legacy.
So my dad and so my dad and my Aunt Eleanor both were born in Brazil.
Yeah.
So in 48, then, when my Uncle Bill was asked to consider going to Papua New Guinea with Otto Hinsi, well, the story goes that he grew up in Eau Claire, to a non-Christian family. He was the Epiphany Lutheran Church reached out to him. He was baptized, confirmed, decided, and was led to become a pastor. And then the story goes, he was telling us that then he thought that the Lord was leading him to become a missionary, but his idea was he would go to Russia. So he was taking language instruction in Russia, or Russian language instruction. And Otto Hinsi was at the seminary at the time, also wanted to become a missionary, but he thought he was going to go down to Mexico. So so he was taking language instruction in Spanish. So then the president of the seminary calls him in and to his office and says, I understand you two want to become missionaries. And so my Uncle Bill's like, maybe they'll send us both to Russia. And Otto Hinze is thinking, maybe they'll send us both to Mexico. And so then, well, do you want to go to Papua New Guinea? And they're like, oh, where is that?
There's a lot of that around.
And then after they found that out, then it's like, well, we need to ask our, we're promised to be married. We better ask our fiancés. So you can imagine that conversation. But both of them said, yes. And,
So what is your role currently in Papua New Guinea?
I went over as a musician just to see what I could do to help the church with its worship and music, teaching at the seminary, an overview course on the songs of the Bible, also then another course on the Book of Psalms, a few other things like that. The main instrument is guitar in these mountain churches because it's kind of hard to strap a piano on your back or
an
organ on your back.
Yeah, that's a little hard.
So I had to do what I could to learn how to play the guitar. Fortunately, they only play in one key over in Papua New Guinea, G major. And so I only had to learn 3 chords initially.
It's very helpful.
Now I've learned E minor and A minor. So now I know 5 chords.
Hey, whatever works.
Exactly.
And then teaching how to tune the guitars and stuff like that. But then, most recently, then in December, they asked me to serve as P&G team manager. So now I'm dealing with that kind of stuff too. So
Sure. Now, the seminary in Papua New Guinea, is that a native Papua New Guineans? Is that how you say that? Is that?
Yes, national pastors. So we train national pastors. I mean, the whole idea of the mission field initially was not for the missionaries to stay long term, but to, develop national pastors and develop a national church that would continue the work. And so,
Yeah. Now, what is it like to teach church music in a different? Well, I guess it's not really a different culture for you. Maybe as you grew up a little bit in Papua New Guinea. But what is that like teaching music at the seminary?
Well, we focus mostly on the music that's in Scripture, and they most of this. Well, the students generally are totally unaware of all of the music that's in the Bible. And so then also pointing not only to the fact that this is an eternal art. The book of Job tells us that right after the creation, the angels were so amazed at what happened, they formed the first choir. And they sang and rejoiced.
Sure.
And then we have a choir that's been singing forever, since. And then Jesus himself reveals to us in the book of Revelation, because John, this was a vision. He wrote down the vision he got directly from Jesus, that there's a choir that's singing eternally in heaven, singing to in the Melanesian pidgin, Pikinini Sip Sip Blongot, the Lamb of God. And so to get them to realize that this is an eternal song, to help them make sure that whatever music they're singing is focused on Christ.
Sure.
So I even do I've done one little course on the hymns of Martin Luther. Not that they're going to be able to necessarily sing them in the Enga churches, but just to say, look, this is an example of what you need to do is whatever music you are singing, focus it on Christ and what he has done for us.
Sure. So what is the worship music like in the local churches? You mentioned that it's all played on guitar.
Well, there's the songs that use the melodies of what they call tumbuna, the ancestors. Every now and then someone will break out and sing a song with those melodies. Using the missionaries when they first came helped to develop some Enga text to those songs, focusing on Christ. But then mostly right now they sing what they call the guitar songs or the youth songs. So yeah, there's some great songs. So one is points us directly to Romans 1:17. Good news semi strong belong God. Good news semi strong belong God. The good news is the power of God. And it is enough to save me.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so they'll, sit for a prelude, they'll sit and they'll sing for 20, 30 minutes, all kinds of songs like that.
Sure.
And then the worship service will start.
Of course.
They also have songs that the former missionaries brought, and Onward Christian Soldiers, and Nearer My God to Thee, and Abide, O Dearest Jesus.
Sure.
So they sing those too.
Absolutely. Now, Marie, what is it like for you living in Papua New Guinea? This isn't a place where you grew up.
Right.
So this is different.
I grew up in Bertha, Minnesota, which might be probably very close. But the main thing that I feel my role is to make sure that he's kept fed and healthy.
That's a very important job.
It's very important.
But also she helps, we're now working with we live on the campus of Highland Lutheran International School. And so every Wednesday we help out with the chapel service. Mondays and Fridays we help out with the morning devotions for the grades 1 through 6. And so we're teaching them new songs. We've taught them I Want to Walk as a Child of the Light,
that's awesome.
The Lamb. What else have we taught them?
Someone special.
Someone special. Songs like
Have
that.
no fear, little flock.
And the schools over there are teaching English, so that makes it very
good.
easy. And now the principal has asked her to just read to the children on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we're actually looking for, they're looking for a principal that could come and help, and some teachers to come and help, and maybe even some short-term missionaries who could come and just, help with the English instruction. So if anybody out there is interested,
Might be an opportunity.
that's right.
All right. Well, we are just about all out of time. I wish we had like 3 more hours because it's just so much to talk about. But Dr. Martin and Marie Dickey, serving the Lord in Papua New Guinea, thanks so much for being my guests today in studio.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
And more Coffee Hour coming up next with Ann sticking around. You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Golseth.
I'm Ann Gonzalez.